Mortgages should be illegal because you're getting robbed every month. With a typical $200,000 30-year mortgage, you'll end up paying over $400,000 after interest. Hi, I'm John Commuta, creator of the Transforming Debt into Wealth system. My proven system can eliminate your mortgage and all your debts. Let me send you a powerful free CD. For your free CD, call 1-800-933-2911. 1-800-933-2911. 1-800-933-2911.
Fight fans, we are Cauliflower for the year. Our call-in number is 347-326-9741. It's good to see the attendance is up. The usual suspects checking the show out. Bill Brown 1, Big Dolls in the house, and many, many guests of anonymous, what was I going to say? I totally just zoned out there, boys.
Aliases, maybe. You like the word alias?
Yeah, something like that. I just couldn't get it out there, and I just tripped up, and I just basically belched on the air, so.
Maybe
Delicious, how are you tonight?
Living the dream, living the dream.
And Franco, I bet you're sitting on pins and needles over there waiting to see how your fantasy football game plays out tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm just hoping Jermichael Finley. I'm up by 20 against Steve, so I'm hoping Jermichael Finley doesn't give him a huge game, but otherwise I should roar into 8th place with my 4-6 record. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Beautiful. I don't want to scare you or anything, but I don't know if you saw me yesterday with Gronkowski, how he went off for, I think, 27. So it is possible. The tight end could come back and bite your ass.
No, this is definitely true. I'm a little bit worried about it. I really need this win, so I'll be have one eye on the screen during our entire production here.
Gronkowski's a bit of a different monster, though. You know, boys, I don't know. I saw something with their mother. Obviously there's 3 of them in the NFL right now, the Gronkowskis, and she talked about what it was like. I guess they're all within like maybe 5 years of each other. Growing up, at one point they were all teenagers, and like what it cost to feed them, and like they'd be in the front yard like literally lifting weights, just like shirtless, just like screaming at each other and shit, and just like throwing weights up and like probably eating like $500 a week worth of shit, like just insanity. You imagine being those neighbors, just like Jesus.
She got some fruitful loins there, popping out 3 NFL players.
Seriously, dude.
Yeah. On Easy Street now, obviously. Jesus.
I didn't want to mention anything with those thin birthing hips. She's not going to be able to have more than 6 or 7 kids.
Yeah, the 3 she had worked out, though, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I want to have kids so I can force them into sports and stuff, and I can ride the gravy train later on in life. It'd be nice.
You're going to need a wife like Dos Santos then, dude, because I don't think you're pumping out 6'5"ers anytime soon since you're a 4-foot ginger.
Can I just say Junior Dos Santos is an extremely, extremely nice man. If I can put that pickup in the chat room so everybody can see what we're talking about.
Before the end of the show, I will post a picture of Junior Dos Santos' wife.
Please do. We'll go back to it. As we all know, there was a historic MMA matchup on Saturday night, and we've seen a heavyweight championship change hands. And, of course, the event I'm talking about is Shark Fights 21, where Bobby Lashley became the new Shark Fights heavyweight champion of the world against some guy named Carl Knopf. Would you think?
He was he was training with your boy Josh Barnett for that fight. Did you know that? Lashley's training with Barnett now.
Yeah, yes, I did. I know that because that's why he slapped the key lock on good old Carl Knopf, who I've never heard of, but apparently he's had 26 MMA fights. And,
he was 20 and 5 going into that fight, so he wasn't a can. But
No, yeah. I mean, I don't know where he's been fighting. I mean, I have you guys ever heard of him? I've never heard the name.
No, I've never heard of him.
He doesn't have a
Barnett's
Wikipedia
finally going to get the roids that work instead of having B titties. At least from Lashley, you can get some roids that make him look geeked up. Like, it'd be awesome if Barnett comes out just shredded for the next fight. Like, what? I've put the time in the gym. Like, dude, why are you nothing but muscle, and why are you black now? How did that happen?
So, like I said, historic. I'm sure everybody's seen it on TV, and everybody's still raving about it. Of course, I'm just being an asshole here. So we're talking about UFC on Fox, #1. Was definitely a great card from top to bottom. I mean, even, the main event, I guess you could say, was slightly disappointing just to how fast it ended, but at the same time, I mean, that's the fight game. It can happen, especially with a guy like Dos Santos and Cain Velasquez, who both can hit hard. And, I mean, for all the build-up and everything, I want to get your feelings, Dolo. How did you feel when that fight went off after all that build-up and all that fanfare and pomp and circumstance, and then all of a sudden, what was it, 60 seconds? Done? How'd you feel about it?
I wouldn't say I was disappointed because of how it ended. I was disappointed that Velasquez lost. I was rooting for Cain, and I thought he looked pretty decent when he came out. I thought he had the right game plan. I mean, he was, he was using leg kicks and things like that, trying to, I think, keep JDS honest. But, the production was cool. The show was good. I just know this is what it was. I just was more disappointed that it was just, the whole show was just over real quick, like more so that it was an hour. Not that it ended that quickly. I mean, I know my fiance was very happy with it. She's like, this is awesome. Like, we can do this more often. I was just like, this is an hour here, sweetheart. Like, this is not, the normal thing. But, it was cool. It was a lot of build-up. It was, it was like my prom night, dude. It was a lot of tickling of the balls and then just not delivering, short on the inseam. But, I thought it was all right. I mean, Cain got caught. It happened. He just got hit in that button right behind the ear that tends to be, one of those spots that just kind of knocks people out. And he didn't go out, but it threw his equilibrium off. And, JDS won the belt. And, Brock was saying he was hoping Cain was going to win because he plans on beasting over him and then wants to get, the redemption against Cain. I think it's more that he doesn't want to get, fucking uppercutted by JDS. And he was thinking he had a lot better shot against Cain. Franco was saying he thinks diverticulitis saved Lesnar's career because he got to avoid JDS in that fight after the Ultimate Fighter. But I don't know. I mean, good for JDS. He's a beast. It just seems like people have a hard time holding on to that strap, man. We've had a bunch of champions in different weight classes that have been around for a long time, and Brock defended twice. But I don't know. We might have something here where the belt changes hands a few times. So we'll see. What did you think, Nick? Were you happy with how the card went and the whole production of it?
Yeah, well, I just want to interject, and first things first, we started a new block of fights on Saturday. We just picked the two main fights, the Ben Henderson-Clay Guida fight and the Brock Lesnar Junior Dos Santos fight, because the rest of the fights weren't on television and there weren't a lot of big names. But, pretty much status quo. I'm going to give the results from the first event. All three of us picked one fight correctly and one fight incorrectly. And I jumped out to the early lead, fellas. So I have 7 points, and you guys each have 5 points. So, two-time defending champion. I am in the lead again, and I don't intend on giving up that spot. I just wanted to sort of let you guys know that. As far as the event, the ratings came out. They got 5.7 million viewers. That was the average throughout the hour. Somewhat of a disappointment. I think they were looking for close to like 7 or 8 million viewers. as Dana White said, this wasn't really for the hardcore MMA fan. It was more to introduce the sport to the mainstream media, for people that still think that the UFC is what it was in the 90s, which is basically a bare-knuckle street fight. So I think that's why you got a lot of the talking. That's why you got the background for the fighters. That's why you got the build-up to sort of, it was an introduction to the UFC on Fox. This wasn't even a part of their deal. Their deal is 7 years and 4 fights a year. So they're going to have 28 fights, and that deal isn't going to go into effect until January. This was just sort of something to wet the beaks of the fan. It was just sort of a throw-in fight. The fights going forward are going to have more than one fight on there. It was just something to sort of to put on the air and get the presence felt. There was the Pac-10 game on Channel 7. There was some other stuff going on. There was the Pacquiao fight later. The fact that the fight went so quickly, I don't think that Dana was thrilled with, obviously, because I was texting with some people Saturday night. I think if it was a clean knockout, one punch where the guy got knocked out cold, I think it would have been a lot better and more exciting. The fact that he kind of hit him in the air, he knocked his equilibrium off and sort of finished him that way, it wasn't the most spectacular finish to the fight, but everybody said either Kane is going to grind him out and wear him down, or Dos Santos is going to knock him out early. And, Dos Santos knocked him out early, so it wasn't shocking the way that the fight played out. But I think, if the fight was going to end that quickly, I think that the powers that be would have liked it to have been more of a sensational knockout. I don't think this changes anything. I think Kane is still, maybe the best fighter in the division. He just got caught. Dos Santos is an incredible boxer. And, I was sort of disappointed. I wasn't disappointed for myself. I was disappointed because I knew all the people that were tuning into the UFC for the first time. This is what they saw, and they're kind of figuring, the UFC, the benefit of the UFC is that they give you a great undercard. And when you buy a pay-per-view, you're getting 5 solid fights, whereas in boxing, you're really only getting one good fight. So the fact that they put it on Fox and they only gave them one fight and it was only a minute long, I was a little disappointed that I think a lot of people probably tuned into that, and I'm not sure that as many of them are going to come back as would have if it was a better fight.
That's why I didn't get the format either, Nick, to speak to that point. And I understand this was a teaser and, to, like you said, to wet their deeks, but, I felt like that is what is so different about the UFC, comparatively to, to boxing, that the undercard normally is pretty much, consistently better than the main event, and that's what really makes the card great. And they pretty much gave your casual fan the impression that this is just boxing as far as how the template is. And I just felt like maybe that's why it didn't make a ton of sense to do it this way. And I think they did well demographic-wise, because you had your standard demographics, but they showed there was a whole other demographic. Normally it's 18 to 34-year-old males, and they had a bunch of, 30 through 40-somethings watching as far as the demographic. So I just think it might have been a little misleading. And, yeah, I don't know if those people will come back now and look at it unless, I think it got announced the next one will be in, what is it, January, that they're going to actually have it or what have you. I'm hoping that they'll do Anderson Silva and Sonnen or whatever. I mean, time-wise, that should work out, because other than that, everybody else is pretty locked up. Frankie Edgar and, Ben Henderson are supposed to be the Japan card main event in late February. You have GSP Diaz in early February on the Super Bowl card. John Jones is December. Cruz, who knows what's up with his hands, and he's probably not the name to carry that card. And Lesnar and Overeem are fighting in December. You're going to need a belt on that card. I'm hoping it's that, and we can mix it in with some other cards. I'm thinking it'll be a template of a versus or whatnot, right? Like a fight night.
Yeah,
you could probably get 4 fights.
I would think they'd probably give you 2 hours and 4 fights. I heard, I was watching the MMA Hour Ariel Helwani show today, and I don't think the Anderson Silva Chael Sonnen makes sense for the next card in January, but that's a big pay-per-view to give up, because that's going to do a lot of pay-per-view buys because it's such a big fight. I don't know. They're not going to make as much money if they put it on Fox. It might be a good business move in the long term.
Yeah.
But, I'm just not sure. They have like I said, they have 7 years. They have 4 events a year, so they're putting out 28 fights on network television. So I think this event, I think it was okay. It wasn't a knockout, but it also wasn't, it wasn't, that disheartening. I think that they have enough time to show people. They're going to have enough presence on that network that people are going to see enough fights that they're going to see that every fight doesn't last 60 seconds and that they're going to give you better fights. It's going to be interesting to see who they put on that next card, because, Silva and Chael Sonnen would obviously be the sexiest fight. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure they're going to put that fight on, because I think they want to sell pay-per-views for that fight. But, you know, a lot of people were sort of saying that the Henderson-Guida fight should have been aired. I mean, what do you guys, in retrospect, Monday Morning Quarterback says obviously they should have aired it. But going into the card, did you guys think they should have aired 2 fights?
I wanted them to air 2 fights because I definitely wanted to. I mean, I did see the Benson Henderson and Guida fight, but of course you had to watch it online, where the feed obviously isn't going to be as good as TV. But you know, it was still a good feed and very exciting fight. I was confused. I thought that was definitely going to be aired, and of course, leading up to it, I thought the whole thing changed, and you're going to have 4 fights on it. So I wasn't really paying as close attention as I should have, but. Of course, like you said, after the fact, it's obvious if they would have aired that fight, they would have been able to suck more people into the broadcast because that fight was amazing, beginning to end. I mean, obviously Benson Henderson definitely took care of Guida, but Guida made it very interesting, and you know, it went to the final bell. But you know, when he had him in that deep choke, I mean, there was a lot of drama in that fight. They would have definitely had more viewers, and they would have done a lot better numbers if they would have put that fight on. Like I thought they originally said that was going to be on the broadcast, but maybe I'm wrong about that. But I thought originally it was announced to be on the broadcast.
Well, I think that was real quickly. I think that's a better representation of what the UFC and what mixed martial arts is all about than the heavyweight championship, because the heavyweight fights are sexy. Everybody can relate to the big heavyweight fight. So I think they thought, you know, hyping on their way into the fight, they would probably get more people to tune in because it's the heavyweight championship. But
sure,
you know. They would have had more people, you know, give more respect to the sport had they shown that Henderson-Guida fight, because that was a much better fight, you know, than the heavyweight fight. But, you know, hindsight's 20/20. You know, if that heavyweight fight's a battle back and forth and it goes 4 rounds, then Dana White looks like a genius. The fact that it was sort of a quick fight and kind of a lackluster finish, it's easy for us to all say they should have put both fights on the air. But, you know, obviously as fight fans, we want to see both fights. But I think they wanted to take the beginning of that hour and introduce the sport, both of the guys, because people that were watching it, they don't know who Junior Dos Santos is. They don't know who Cain Velasquez is. So they show, you know, the 5 or 6 minutes of JDS in Brazil and Cain, you know, in Arizona. What did you guys think? A lot of people online and on all the websites are sort of giving Dana White some shit, saying he didn't do a very good job as an analyst, that he seemed really nervous, that, you know, that Brock actually did a really good job and Dana kind of made a fool of himself. What did you guys think of Dana White's analysis?
Well, I don't know. I thought Dana did a pretty good job. And the thing with Dana is, you know, he's a pretty honest guy, and he talks with emotion. So, you know, maybe he wasn't like your typical analyst out there, you know, really trying to break it down. He spoke with his heart, saying that he couldn't believe, you know, what Cain did out there, that he should have shot in and tried to grind him down with the wrestling and everything. But, you know, I think people are going to give Dana shit for whatever they can, because they always give the guy shit. You know, he never does anything right. So, you know, except for, like, real big fans of the UFC and fans of Dana White, everybody finds something to nitpick about Dana. And I like that Dana said, basically, shut the fuck up at the press conference afterwards, because, like he put it, you got a free fight, a free heavyweight championship fight on TV, you know, and it's the fight game. Anything can happen in there. You know, they could have went 5 rounds, all 25 minutes of a back-and-forth brawl, or, you know, could have just been 2 dudes hugging up on each other for 25 minutes, or you got what you got. You got a minute-long fight where somebody went to sleep, and, you know, yeah, like you said, it wasn't probably the best representation because you didn't get to see all the intricacies of MMA, but, you know, you're taking a chance when you put that out there, you know, and you're going to build it up and build it up and build it up, and, you know, only the perfect storm of events can make it even better than what they're already hyping. And, of course, they didn't get that perfect storm. The champion went to sleep, and now there's everybody else second-guessing it.
I think they lost. I think you saw the pesos sort of flying out the door as you know, Cain Velasquez lost there. I think he was starting to really build the you know, Mexicans and Mexican Americans starting to follow the sport.
Sure.
You know, for Cain Velasquez, and you know, I think business-wise, he probably definitely wanted Cain to win. And it just, you know, I sort of felt like after the fight, you could tell he was a little dejected, whether it be because Cain lost, because I think he was sort of going to be the next cash cow, at least, you know, in the Mexican-American community, or the fact that the fight was kind of short. But, you know, he says I'm baffled at Cain's game plan. I think he should have put more pressure on him. I think he should have shot. First of all, the fight was 64 seconds. Cain shot once. I think, you know, you see that a lot in the beginning of the fight. They were feeling each other out. I think if that fight had gone on a little bit further, Cain would have been able to implement his game plan. He just got caught early. And then he goes on to say, Junior Dos Santos is a guy that's known to gas. First of all, I've never seen him gas in a fight. I don't know why he was saying that. But so he shits on Velasquez, and then he turns around and shits on Junior Dos Santos right after the fight. So to me, it was bad business. It was bad promoting. After you're hyping up this fight, and then after the fight, he kind of takes a shot at both of his fighters, that he promotes. So it was sort of strange to me. It seemed after the fight he was a little bit dejected.
Yeah, well, you know what though, that kind of speaks to Dubs' point though. I mean, with Dana, it is what it is. You get the emotion, and you kind of get some maybe honest answers, or probably says things that he shouldn't. But I mean, that kind of comes with the territory. I think they definitely had propped Kane up as going to be the next kind of cash cow, and he was going to be that feed into the Mexican American community. And he seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's not a guy they got to worry about. Is he out getting in trouble, running around? He's a family guy. He's humble. Maybe not the best guy on the mic and with personality, but I mean that's fine. They could have worked with that. I think Dos Santos is going to be a good champ if he can hang on. I mean, he's a guy who, I mean, even I was watching something the other day with him, and it was when he fought Roy Nelson, and it was very funny for a couple reasons. One, it was right after that he went and did the show, The Ultimate Fighter. From the Roy Nelson fight, he could barely speak any English, and you couldn't really understand what he was saying. So from that point to when he got on The Ultimate Fighter, and now the guy's shown a concentrated effort that he wants to be able to kind of be mainstream in America. So you can't ask for much more if you're Dana White, a guy who's willing to play the game and wants to be there. The other thing that was funny too in that interview was Rogan was interviewing him after the Nelson fight, and you could see, I think it was the first time he kind of tried to do it on his own, and Ed Soares, after, we spoke last week about him and Anderson Silva having problems, and obviously Dos Santos got rid of him. Ed Soares was trying, was going to start interpreting, and every time Dos Santos just put his hand on his stomach and basically told him to, sit the fuck down. I got this. You could see on Soares' face, he was like, oh shit. It's like, this guy's kind of taking it upon himself, and now I'm just sitting here looking like an asshole and probably hoping that the other fighters don't take that lead. But as far as to go back with the Dana thing, I don't know. I mean, Dana is what he is, and he's not an analyst, so I don't really give a shit about that aspect of it. I don't think it's going to be.
That's why he shouldn't be out there, then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he has to be, Nick. He's the face of the company. He can't not be out there.
He's in the analyst chair analyzing the fight. You could go to him and have a 2 or 3 minute. Let him promote the fights like you normally let. He's not an analyst, and I don't think he should be out there analyzing. That was my point.
He has to be for the flagship show, dude. There's no way you're not going to have Dana White sitting in an analyst chair. Maybe don't ask him so many questions, but you have to have a guy whose face is recognizable and marketable, and he's the face of the UFC. You have to have him there, dude, because his concern is, what if Lesnar sucked, or what if he had somebody else out there? He clearly doesn't. It seems like he doesn't like Ariel Helwani and stuff like that, who would maybe be another guy you put in. I would have had Jay Glazer there, to be perfectly honest. I'm a fan of his, and he used to do the show with Frank Trigg for the Pride, and he's on the Fox network, so I would add him. But you have to have Dana White out there, dude. I'm not saying he can go out there and suck, but you're not going to not have him out there the first time around. I can deal with him not being that great, because you know what? Now he's going to have to eat shit. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, well, you're right,
the guy who's going to do it.
We got a caller on the line, so I'm going to go to him. All right, hold on. Hey, you're on the air.
Yeah, this is Bonesy in Red Bank. First time, long time.
What's up, Bones?
First of all, I just want to say that Delicious, I think you're being foolish, man. Dana White shouldn't be as involved and be the face of the company. He's the CEO, and it's bothered me about the UFC for a long time that he's got his hands in everybody's pies. And there's no reason for him to be out there analyzing like Franco said. Aside from that, I think it was a colossal failure from the standpoint that the reason you put a free heavyweight championship fight on network television is to bring in, new fans and stuff. And yeah, cool. It was a first round knockout, whatever. It wasn't a picture, it wasn't a highlight knockout. You know what I mean? He tagged him in the ear. He jumped on him. He caught a couple while he was down. Quick ground and pound. But I mean, as far as bringing in new fans to the sport, I don't think he did himself any favors.
Let me address that one, since Bones had my name come out of his mouth. as a new first-time caller. One, not surprised you back Franco since you fell out of the same woman. For all you people out there, this is Franco's brother who finally called in after 8 months. And two, putting my hatred for you aside, I couldn't agree with you more as far as the heavyweight, the title fight. That wasn't a way to bring the fans in. And what I was going to say before, I felt like since they were going to get the new audience with the sexy heavyweights and you can do all that stuff, that's even more of a reason you should have had the Henderson-Guida fight on there, because you knew that fight was going to be awesome. And lightweights always get after it. They were going to show the full aspect of MMA.
Fight. It's a more rounded fight, too.
Exactly.
You're going to see more grappling. You're going to see more, more tumbling, more submissions. Nothing against the heavyweights. They come out and they're slugging. But as far as, the lighter weight classes, you're going to get more of the grappling and more of the, just more of the well-rounded skills. Just the big guys, if you got 22-inch friggin' arms, how the hell are you going to put a guy in an arm bar? You know what I mean?
Right. No, you're 100% right. And that's why if they were going to draw the casual fan or new fan with the sexiness of the heavyweight fight, they would get there and be like, holy shit, when they see the lightweight fight with Guida and everybody, is this really what this is about? And then you wouldn't be as disappointed when, somebody goes down in a minute. But you would already have them coming there for the heavyweights, and I think you would have kept them as fans or gained them as fans by showing them the Guida-Henderson fight.
I can't argue with that. Keep up the good work, fellas.
Thanks, folks.
All right. Take it easy.
Take it easy.
Nah, they definitely should have doubled down because, we're going to beat a dead horse by saying it, but you would have just drawn in more fans just because the littler guys usually always put on a great performance. And you know what? If they would have had that on there and they still got what they were expecting out of the Kane and Dos Santos fight, then that's even better because more and more people would have just kept tuning in and tuning in and tuning in. So they could have just shattered, broadcast records. I mean, Kimbo Slice is still the reigning champ with 6.5 million views,
Well, he had Kimbo Slice. People keep saying that this event it averaged 5.7 million. They haven't told you what it peaked at. Kimbo Slice, he peaked at 6.5 million, but they only averaged 4.3 million. Now that was a 3-hour event, so they're still not really sure which event did better because they didn't announce what the peak was during the hour.
Sure.
But I don't think it's. I know what you guys are saying as far as putting the lightweight fight on and gaining fans. I really think this was them just dipping their toe in the water. Now, it didn't go exactly how they wanted, but I do think the fact that they explained the sport a little bit, the fact that they introduced the fighters, I think to people that have no idea what the UFC is, I think it was effective to introduce the sport on Fox. A better fight would have obviously been better, but it goes back to professional wrestling. You need to have a vested interest in the fighters to have to root for one or the other. I like MMA, but, sometimes they have the MMA fights on HDNet, and I don't know who the guys are, and the fights aren't as exciting because I'm not really rooting for one guy or the other. So the fact that they introduced the fighters and they analyzed the fight and they broke it down, I think it was effective, but you just don't know how the fight's going to go. It would have been safer probably to put Henderson and Guida on, but my point is they have so many cards to do on Fox. I mean, people are going to see those fights eventually, so I don't think it was a monumental failure.
No, and I don't think failure is the right adjective by any means, but, you do get one chance to make a first impression. And the people that are going to watch this shit, the people that are going to watch this shit are going to watch it anyway. I just think the people that are the casual fan or somebody that hasn't seen this before probably has a jaded view now of what it is because they think that's what it is. It's two guys, regardless of weight, are going to come out and they're going to be lumbering and they're going to bang and somebody's going down in a minute. And they're going to be like, well, why am I going to pay $60 to $50 to watch these fights? And combined, all the fights that are good and I care about are going to be, 15 minutes, total type thing. And it's completely wrong, but that's the point. The point of the show was to introduce this to new people, and I don't think that they have the right view of what this is. And in time, people probably will watch it who didn't watch this time or didn't like this time because, to speak to your point, you're going to have all these opportunities. But, a la Tony Robbins, you do only get one chance to make a first impression, dude, and that was made. I don't think it was negative at all. Please, that company's fucking printing money. I don't care, they're going to be doing fine.
No, it definitely wasn't a failure, but, it would have just made it more interesting. But, Nick, you got a point, too, because if there's no build-up in knowing who these guys are, Dos Santos, super nice guy, and like I said, if these people saw a picture of his wife, they know how nice this man is. So how do you not root for him? And then Cain Velasquez, hardworking Mexican immigrant father, gets over here for the American dream, and here's this kid living it. So, but once he took that shirt off, I guarantee you, once he took that shirt off, everybody was a big fan of Brazil, except for that stadium. You know what I'm saying? But, I think I'm going to play this commercial here. I don't know. You guys like blogging on the internets by any chance?
I love it.
I'm just killing time because I got to find it in the queue here. Yeah. People like to write blogs and stuff. I know Franco writes on this site every once in a while, and it is excellent what you write. So, hey, everybody, listen to this.
A new era has dawned in blogging. Log on to thexlog.com and experience new standards and quality in commentary and analysis. Powered by RotoExperts.com, thexlog.com brings together the top expert bloggers with all the very best the Internet has to offer. You don't have to search for the most compelling and entertaining posts and writers anymore. They will be at your one central hub for high quality. So join us as a new revolution begins in sports and entertainment, only at thexlog.com. That's THEXLOG.com.
TheXlog.com. Franco, you putting an article up this week?
You know what? I actually might put an article up this week. Depends on work. Depends if I feel like working or not when I'm there.
Hey, everybody, make sure you check out the X-Log every day because Franco's going to give you a sweet treat. So I guess we should talk about this.
Dude, that sounds like Sandusky style, dude. You might want to clean that up. Franco's going to give you a sweet treat. You guys just
How sexy has that story gotten at this point, huh?
Did you guys just see that Matt Schaub's out for the year? That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. I'm playing somebody this week, and they have Matt Schaub, so I love that.
What, you mean this week coming up?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I hope you don't mean this past week, because they fucking killed it. But, yeah, no, that's huge, dude. That doesn't do much for you. I have him in one league. He put up 21. I don't know. You're excited. Just hate him. Yeah, no, that's huge, though, dude. That team is a good team, and, now Johnson might be coming back, but, injury bug has bit them. First he loses his hair, now he loses his season.
Speaking of good teams, how about those Niners, huh?
Oh,
seriously,
my God, amazing. Dolo, did you like that game on Sunday?
You know what, dude? I not only liked the game, I went to the Jet game last night, and I met up with these guys tailgating, and they actually had a flat screen with an antenna. I spunked my pants.
Shit.
Granted, my team lost, but I actually got to watch the game, which was awesome. It was a good game, dude. I still think you guys, take it in the cornhole. I wouldn't mind seeing the playoffs. I'm not scared of you, but yeah, I gotta acknowledge it. You guys are, definitely better than I give you credit for. Probably knew that going in, but my hatred for the two of you would never allow me to admit it. But it was a good game.
The funniest thing, me and Dole were, we were texting during the game back and forth, and it's the fourth. First of all the Giants fans. I just want to say this really quickly. It's back and forth. It was 3-0, then it was 6-3, and then I was texting with them in the beginning. The 49ers have the lead the entire game. I don't get a single text message. In the fourth quarter or the end of the third, they get the touchdown. The Giants go up 1 after the Niners had been up 6 all game. I get 8 different text messages from all the Giants fans. I texted Dolan, something along the lines of, don't worry about it. Eli's got at least one more pick in him during the fourth quarter. Literally, the next play, the guy throws an interception, and we score on the next play. It was poetic justice.
It was pretty apropos. It was hysterical. It was unbelievable. Like, I read it, and I was getting ready to text him back, and then, it literally happened right in front of me. I was laughing my ass off. And in my defense,
did you throw your phone across the room?
My defense about the text message tough guy, I had been drinking since 11 yesterday, so it wasn't that I was being a text message tough guy. I was en route to the game, drinking heavily the entire time, and then at that point got muscles like a typical Giant or Yankee fan. When things are going well, we're the loudest.
Who'd you go to the game with, you creep?
Oh, it was just nothing but guys praying the rosary. It was John Terry, Steve Terry, and Brian Prunty. It was pretty much a who's who.
Who the fuck drove? Who drove?
It was a who's who of the Megan's Law website. None of us are allowed within 500 yards of a playground combined. No, we took the train. We took the train up.
Smart.
So, yeah, we're definitely a responsible crew. Prunty, wanted to spit in my face by the end of the game, as he's been known to do, because I was giving him a pretty hard time, at that point. And it was actually, it was a good game. It was fun, getting into it with the guys in front of us and stuff. John Terry basically screaming and not even facing the stadium, not even realizing where the game was going on. pretty standard. He's screaming. I'm like, dude, we're on the train. We're not even at the stadium yet. Like, what are you talking about? When we get to the game, I'm like, you're facing the wrong way, bro. Like, I don't even know you're sitting backwards at a stadium seat. So I'm not even mad. I'm impressed.
I believe it.
Yeah. It's overtime.
My goodness. Where were we anyway? Should we hit on the Henderson fight, or do we cover that enough with the Buffalo?
Yeah, we kind of covered it. I think we should get to 139, no?
Yeah, let's hit this.
Yeah,
this
that's what I was thinking too.
Shogun.
Yeah, let's jump over there. This Saturday, November 19th, is UFC 139, Shogun versus Henderson. Obviously, with that title, we can figure out what the main event is. It's Mauricio Shogun Hua versus Dan Hendo Henderson. And Franco, I believe you said you have a lead, so I'm already going to start this horse shit. What's your feelings on the fight?
Well, get used to that. Like I said, maybe we'll see how this event goes. Maybe you guys can start combining forces and adding your scores up against me, but we'll sort of see how this one goes.
I'm so happy I ended your fantasy football season last week. Go on with your pick.
First, and the commissioner's talking shit too. My season is far from over. I'm 4-6 now. I'm going to win out. I'm going to get to 7-6, and I'm going to be in the playoffs. So I'll see you there, pal.
Well, I'll tell you what. I got my 7th win this week, which pretty much guarantees me a playoff spot. Yeah, so
it'll be perfect when you lose in the first round and then have 50 million excuses as to why it happened.
No. First off, let me put it this way. I'm going to fucking leapfrog the commish, and I'm going to get my bye week, and I'm going to win that championship back. Okay? So it's thank you from Matt Leinart and Anquan Bolden, even though I didn't do shit yesterday.
Matt Leinart?
Neil and I mean, not Matt Leinart, Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan.
Are we able to draft guys from, like, their college days? You know, I'll take Ryan Leaf back when he was in college. Can he start on my fantasy team?
Hey, listen, I know this ain't a fantasy football show, but you know what? Matt Leinart might be a good pickup off the waiver wire, ladies and gentlemen, with that Matt Schaub news earlier.
That's true.
Andre Johnson's almost healthy.
By the way, the chat room's going nuts right now, dude. Dominic Castino says, Prunt Dog equals guru, comma, stud boy, comma, blogger. And then Big Dole responded with Sandusky wouldn't hang with that crew when I told him who was in the game. So, the crowd's going wild right now. But, Franco, why don't you give us the picks? See, you know, me and Dubs are still going to need a point spread if we combine our total points and yours. We're still going to need at least like a net line of, 5.
Yeah, well, I think people, on the Internet had sort of hinted at this. I think right now this is probably the best card top to bottom of the year.
Yeah,
and it hasn't really gotten a lot of press just because obviously of the Fox, the Fox card, and they announced this event first, and then the Fox card came in later, so they had to make a couple changes to the card. But Dan Henderson, Mauricio, Shogun Hua, both Pride legends, former champions. This is sort of like the dream matchup. Back in the mid-2000s, both these guys were at the top of their game, and they're both actually still pretty close to the top of the game. Especially Dan Henderson's 41 years old. He's
my God!
He's won 6 of his last 7 fights. His only loss was to Jake Shields at 185. He's obviously a lot more effective at 205 pounds. This guy's been fighting since 1997. So 14 and a half years. It's unbelievable. He's Pride champion, Strikeforce champion, solid wrestling, really big right hand, just loves to fight. That Emelianenko fight, his last time out, you could tell Fedor came out swinging, and then he just kind of got into the pocket, and they started fucking wailing on each other. And, it was just a real exciting fight. Shogun Hua also, likes to stand and strike. He's a little bit younger. He's only 29 years old, Shogun. It feels like he should be, 35, because as long as he's been in the sport, but he's still in his 20s. He's not training with Rafael Cordero for this fight. He's training in Brazil. He looked pretty good against Forrest. My question is he healthy? He's obviously had surgery on both knees. He's looked really good in some fights. He hasn't looked that great in some other fights. He's only 2-2 in his last 4 fights. I'm going to be rooting for Dan Henderson. He might be my favorite fighter right now. I just like the way that he fights. I like the fact that he wants to mix it up. I think that even though I'm going to be rooting for Henderson, I got to pick with my brain here. So I'm actually going to take Shogun Hua by unanimous decision. I just think that I think he's going to use leg kicks. I think he's going to use his speed. And I think Henderson's just going to be sort of staying in the pocket and waiting for that big right hand. And the angles that Shogun takes, the way that he fights, if he fights a smart fight and he doesn't go in there and try to brawl with Dan Henderson, I think he has more skill. I think he's faster. And he has, at this point, if they both choose to stand, he's got more weapons on their feet than Henderson. And I'm going to take Shogun Hua, unanimous decision.
That's a nice pick. It's probably the smart pick. And normally I wouldn't pick Henderson here, but I don't know, man. Like you brought up Shogun's health. Obviously, you know, there's no reports out there saying that he's unhealthy, but who the hell knows for sure? I think Henderson is gonna win this fight. I think he's gonna grind him down. Obviously, he's gonna fight a smarter fight. He's not just gonna stand there and trade blows with Shogun, because I think that would be disastrous. Just because, like you pointed out, from the different angles and everything Shogun can take, I don't think that would bode well for Dan, because Dan, of course, wants to land that big right hand, but I think he's going to be taking him down. He's going to work him on the ground a bit, you know, and start wearing him down. I think by the third round, Shogun's going to be a little tired, and I think Henderson knocks him out in the third round. But obviously, you've proven that you are the fantasy beast here, so I'm probably wrong. What do you feel about it, Dolo?
Albone says Hua for sure. I mean, that's just because he's a fan of Huas who are loose morally. Maybe not Brazilian fighters, but I know he chubbed up, and again, backing his brother, shameless. I know Franco would bring one of his minions in, probably sign Bones up for this effing roto radio shit. I don't know if Bones is a fucking computer. I don't know. The funny thing, like Nick said, when Henderson started fighting, it was 97. Nick and I graduated grammar school in 97, and that's when his dad started fighting. You know, it was, yeah, I think it's going to be an awesome fight. This has been a fight that people have been pining for pretty much for, you know, about 5 to 8 years. And like Nick said, it was just always so crazy to me. I was a fan of Pride, but probably got on it later. I got on it through that, you know, Frank Trigg and what's it called, that meat sack Glazer show. You know, that's how I became a fan of it. But you know, he was the man at Pride, Shogun was, and he was like 22 years old. Like that's what's unbelievable. And like the fact that he's still in his 20s is kind of, it's mind-boggling. You know, like it puts your thoughts in a bottle. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be a great fight. Both of these guys, you know, are still in the top 10 in their weight class. I think, you know, Nick's thinking about it right, because I think Shogun's going to, you know, be using leg kicks to kind of negate Hendo's shot. It's going to be a matter of Hendo can break through that, because I think that's actually going to maybe work against Shogun if Hendo can get through it, because when he's throwing leg kicks, I think Hendo's going to look to take him down. I think Shogun's style is definitely going to work towards Henderson's, you know, advantage as far as catching him with the overhand right. But that's all he's got. Shogun's a little more versatile on the feet. I do think that, you know, Shogun's had some suspect cardio in the past, plus with the injuries. So I think, you know, I almost want to change it now that Dubs literally has the same pick as I do, but I have Henderson with the third-round knockout.
Son of a bitch.
So we're going to let Franco over there? We're going to let Franco jump out real quick, like week 2.
I know we are.
We're going to let Nick just jump out.
We are pretty big idiots, but, you know, what can you do? That's my gut feeling, and you know what? At the times that I don't follow my gut, I don't win. So this is what I'm going with.
I just thought that I waited 10 cards to basically repeat the exact same mistakes from the last batch of, you know, like competitions we had. Like after the 4th round, we were Dubs and I were done. And I was like, I'm gonna do it different next time. I'm literally mirroring the same asshole steps.
No, yeah, we didn't learn anything from past experience, but we're gonna. I know I'm definitely going to take it this time. I think Franco, instead of going with his hero, Dan Henderson, has really screwed himself with this pick, but we'll see Saturday. Moving on to the next event, it pits Wanderlei, the Axe Murderer Silva, versus Kung Lee, who's old as shit. Dolo, who do you see winning this fight?
I'm going to give you my opinion, and then I'm just going to put my phone on mute, because I don't want to hear it. I'm
going to go next after you, so Franco, keep it to yourself till we're done.
That's surprising. No, I just mean you guys, the buffoonery, and you guys tooling on me. I'm so fragile right now. I'm getting over the Schaub thing.
Wait, you're not taking Kung Lee, are you?
I only am because
you better not be taking Kung Lee.
I said let me finish, sir. I only am doing that. If this were Vanderlei of 3 years ago, I would still be laughing. I'm still laughing at myself for doing it. But, I mean, Vanderlei, a breeze knocks this dude out, man. He is so punchy right now. I honestly think that Kung Lee's going to catch him in the first round. I think he's just going to come out like a maniac. He's going to be swinging, and he's going to get caught with a kick or a punch. And I don't think he can help it, dude. He should retire. They shouldn't let Vanderlei continue to fight. It's a shame. Vanderlei would literally eat this guy for lunch. even 2 years ago when he first got into the UFC, or 3 years ago.
One thing more like 4.
He doesn't have it anymore, dude. He cannot do this. If you tap him on the chin, he goes out. He doesn't have it in him anymore. I got Kung Lee first-round knockout, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Dolo. Don't mute that phone, because I'm going to tell you what my pick is. And, Frank, I want to preface by saying this. I have 2 reasons for picking it. 1, to hurt your feelings, and 2, for the same reasons that Michael just said. I believe I said that last time Vanderlei fought, when you thought he was going to beat Chris Lieben, that Vanderlei's chin never made it back from Japan. It's gone. It's shattered. And I agree with Dolo. I think Vanderlei's going to survive the first round, though, because I think when he comes out with that retard windmilling style he does, it's going to take Kung Lee off guard, and he's going to try to stay away from him and start trying to create distance. And you got to hand it to Kung Lee. He's definitely the better striker technically. And I think he's going to knock Vanderlei Silva out early in the second round.
Are you guys kidding me?
No, absolutely not.
All right, you got a second round KO. Don't. Where did you have on him? Write it down. Kung Lee. How do you have
I have Vanderlei knocking himself out on the walk to the ring. I have Kung Lee via first round knockout. I mean, the motherfucker's 7-1 MMA, and he's 12-0 lifetime as a kickboxer. He can strike. Yeah. That's all he can do.
Yeah, he can hit.
He's 7-1 in MMA. His biggest win is against Frank Shamrock on his second to last fight. He lost to Scott Smith. I mean, literally, I looked at his fight record tonight. I've seen his last probably 4 or 5 fights. He's never fought anybody. The guy's got the frame to be a 155-pounder. He has these. He's exciting to watch. He does those spinning body kicks that he caught Scott Smith with. He broke Frank Shamrock's arm with a kick. He has skills. I'm not sure exactly how this fight's going to play out. I think there's a chance that Silva might try to take him to the ground. He might try to get in on him. I think Silva's going to be the stronger fighter, push him up against the cage, work close, and maybe get him to the ground, because I think Silva probably has a better grappling pedigree and a better ground game. Dana White came out and said Vanderlei Silva has to win this fight. I don't think Vanderlei Silva is even in the top 15 in the world at 185 pounds. I just don't think Kung Lee's in the top 50. So I really don't, Kung Lee, Vanderlei's 2-6 over his last 8 fights. The guy really...
hideous.
He's going to get this win, and people are going to talk like he's back, because my pick is I picked him to knock him out in the first. I don't know that that's exactly how it's going to happen. Like I said, I could see that happening, or I could see Vanderlei fighting smart and using his strength advantage.
No.
But I just, Kung Lee's not a world-class MMA fighter. He's fought. This is his 4th fight since March of 2008. So, in 3.5 years, he's had 3 fights. He did that. He did a couple fucking F-rate movies. He did some movies. He wasn't even training full-time. Silva definitely wants this more than Kung Lee. He's got more, he's got 44 career fights to Kung Lee's 8 career fights.
That's the problem, Nick. The 44 fights is the problem. He's stealing every inch of that.
No, yeah. I agree. I agree with you guys. I don't think that this is his resurgence. I just think it's tailor-made matchup for him. So I got Silva, KO in the first. That's it.
And if this were a war of attrition, dude, I'd get it. I think we had a first just now when Franco said Vanderlei, and intelligently, because Vanderlei literally is the third rung on the fucking evolutionary chart in most middle schools throughout this country, just to look at that guy. Body of work, there's no 2 ways about it, dude. I completely get where you're coming from. We definitely could be wrong. I don't think Kung Lee is going to go, skyrocket up to, Anderson Silva and take the belt. I just think, it's just the time has come for Vanderlei, and he can't help himself. He's built this way, dude. He's wired this way to come out like a maniac, and he can intend to hang back. It's primal when you get in there, and I just think he's going to come in. He's going to come in wild, and he's going to basically just get popped twice, and it's going to be game over. But, clearly my track record shows I'm fucking stock.
Yeah, no. I think this is the retirement fight. Say goodbye to your hero, Vanderlei Silva. But moving on, we got a title elimination fight between Uriah the California Kid Faber versus Brian Bowles. Brian Bowles obviously was the bantamweight champ. Dominic Cruz took the title from him when Bowles broke both his hands and he couldn't continue in that fight. This is, I think, the toughest fight to call on this card. I really kind of had to flip a coin over it because I just don't know. I think Uriah might be declining in his skill set. Bowles, he's got less fights than Faber, but he's actually around the same age as him. So, they're but 31 and 32 years old, so it's not like he's a lot younger than him either. I don't know. I think they're fairly well evenly matched. I think Faber's the better wrestler of the two, so I think that's what's going to win this fight. I think Faber's going to win unanimous decision. But, like I said, I think it's a real hard fight to call. What do you think, Franco?
Yeah, I agree. They're the same age, the same body type. They have similar, styles. I think they're both good wrestlers, but they're very well-rounded. It's funny that you said about the state of their careers. I had a note written down that, has already peaked and sort of the rise in his career, and I think that's going to be the difference in the fight. I think they're sort of carbon copies of each other, and I think Bowles is just a fresher fighter with more upside right now. I think Faber definitely needs this win, though, if he wants to make one more run at the title. Like you said, Dominic Cruz has already beaten both of these guys, but, like you said, Bowles, that fight got stopped because of the ref, and the Faber fight was close. And Faber's still a really good fighter. He's won 3 of his last 5, and his only 2 losses were to Aldo and Cruz, who are currently champions. But I just think that, it's Brian Bowles' time. I think it's a competitive fight, and Bowles probably wins the fight 2 rounds to 1. So I picked Brian Bowles by decision.
Definitely going to be a good fight. I'm hoping Bowles wins, and it's not. I don't dislike Faber. I don't want to see that fight just yet again against Cruz. It was a good fight. There's no two ways about it, and they genuinely dislike each other. I'm not saying that body of work wasn't a good fight. I'm not looking to see Cruz and Faber fight again the same time within 8 months to 12 months of the last one. Bowles 10-1. He's predominantly going to be a submission specialist. He's got 6 wins via submission, 3 knockouts. He was actually the only guy to knock out Miguel Angel Torres for the WEC belt, but he's not necessarily a guy who's going to finish on the feet most of the time. I think they're going to basically wear each other out. It's going to be a good fight. They're definitely evenly matched. I think that being the case, Uriah, normally good against the submission, as far as submission defenses and stuff, but I mean, Bowles is definitely a submission specialist, so I think, from just the pace of the fight and wearing each other out, I think he catches Uriah in a sub in the 3rd round.
Wow.
I got Brian Bowles via a 3rd round submission.
Nice. Dubs, who did you pick?
He's got Uriah UD, I think, right, Dubs?
Okay. UD, yeah. UD Uriah. I think the wrestling is gonna win it for him. I think he's a better wrestler. But
no, that's fair.
Moving on.
Good point.
Yeah, that's it's a tough fight to call. It's definitely a coin flip. But moving on to the next fight, it pits Martin, the Hitman Campman, versus Rick, the Horror Story.
Fight of the night right here, probably, boys.
You think so?
I do, dude.
I don't know. All right. Well, tell me about it then.
I just
tell me about it, stud.
So, yeah, Dub's laying on the bed, his 2 hands under his jaw, just kicking his feet. Like, do tell.
dropping his jaw back like a boa constrictor.
Getting ready for that 10 p.m. game of Dream Date that he's got with Steve set up. That's the Monday Night Ritual.
Yeah.
I think that this is going to be an awesome fight. I mean, both of these guys are normally in pretty exciting fights. They like to stand and bang. Campman was a professional kickboxer. I'm kind of tired of hearing about how he's got this underrated ground game. I haven't seen it. I know he likes to stand and bang, but I'm kind of hearing of people hanging their hat on that, and that's awesome. We can talk about this fantastical shit, but he never brings anybody down there. I don't think that'll happen this fight either. I mean, Story's a really good wrestler, and I was actually watching one of Story's fights the other day, and I mean, that dude is just a freak. It's a shame how it went against P-Boy Charlie Brennan. I think that he beat Alves and then came off that. Brennan took the fight on 2 days' notice, so it's kudos to him. But I think that was just kind of a little hiccup. Story's 13-4. He's got his better days in front of him, I believe. I don't think Campman's better days are behind him. I just think it's just going to be. I think it's going to be Story via decision. I think it is going to be an excellent fight. Campman's kind of got a history of going to the cards. They basically handed him that pussy Jake Shields a win because they were paying him so much money. They had to, give him the win in that decision, and then he lost one to Sanchez, which was pretty controversial as well. But he's kind of got a history of going the distance, and I think both these guys have good chins. It's going to be a good fight. I got Rick Story via a decision.
I definitely got to agree with you there. I think Rick Story's going to pull out the UD, and I think it's going to be a good fight, and I think what's going to hurt is we've seen it in Campman's fights before. He seems to let up even when he's dominating the fight. Like when he fought Diego Sanchez, I mean, he definitely had him on the ropes in the first round, and then I feel like he relaxed. I think he lacks a true killer instinct, and it's definitely going to hurt him in this fight because Rick Story is definitely going to pressure him and put him on his back, and he's just going to do what he needs to win the fight. I can't see a knockout happening here on either side. And, I think it's going to be a pretty exciting fight, but definitely unanimous decision for Rick Story.
Yeah, I agree that it's going to be a competitive fight. Campman had an extreme couture. He's got his 2 straight losses to Shields and Diego Sanchez. Both of them were close decisions. He can't lose 3 straight. A lot of times in the UFC you lose 3 straight and you're out. Rick Story, 13-4. He's only 27 years old. He does, he's got career wins over Jake Ellenberger, Johnny Hendricks, Thiago Alves. He's won 6 of 7. Obviously, he lost that last fight to Charlie Brenneman, but he took that fight on short notice. He probably underestimated Brenneman a little bit. I just think that this fight is way too important for Campman. I think he's learned from his last 2 fights that he has to, have a smarter game plan. He needs to implement that game plan and let his hands go a little bit more. I think the fact that he's fighting, I think obviously Randy Couture is going to probably corner him. Hopefully he gives him a good game plan. And I think that, he's got an underrated submission game. Like Dolan said it before, he's making fun of people saying that, but it's true. He's got, I think he's got, I forget how many career submissions, 6 or 7 career submissions. I think that Story's going to play that game with him. They're going to grapple, and Martin Campman's going to catch him in the second round with a submission.
Nice. Wow, that's a ballsy pick. Well, moving on to the last fight on the card, pits Stephan Bonnar versus Kyle Kingsbury. I see Bonnar winning this by second round sub. Kingsbury, he's definitely very nice to look at. I mean, I know when he hits that ring and they throw the water on him and everything. I know I got to take care of myself in the bathroom before the bell rings. But I don't think he's as well rounded as Bonnar. Bonner's been around a while. He's never been knocked out. I think he has the better stand up. He's also black belt in jiu-jitsu, black belt in taekwondo. I just can't see it going any way for Kyle Kingsbury to win this fight. So I got Bonnar winning second round sub.
Lay it on me, Frank.
I agree with pretty much everything that Dub said, especially the fact that Kyle Kingsbury is built like a brick shithouse. But I don't think he's really as well-rounded as Bonnar, like you said. He's got I think he's got a future in the sport. He's 11-2. He's only 29 years old. Both these guys are huge light heavyweights. They're both 6'4". Kingsbury's won 4 straight fights. He had that last fight against Fabio Maldonado. That was like that striking. That was a good fight. It was exciting. Stephan Bonnar has looked good in his last couple fights. He's got 2 straight wins. I think he's just a little bit too much. He's a little too crafty for Kingsbury at this point. Bonnar still got probably a year or 2 of competitive fighting left in him. So I'm going to take Stephan Bonnar by decision.
Wow.
Very interesting. I was on the fence with this one, to be honest. I'm obviously a huge Stephan Bonnar fan. Whenever he fights, you can pretty much count on 2 things. It's going to be a war, and, somebody's going to be bleeding 3 seconds into the fight. I don't know if he didn't have that surgery that Forrest had. Forrest used to have that problem, too, with the scar tissue, but Bonnar just seems to open up really quickly, but he's a guy who just seems to always be, kind of in these knockdown, drag-out fights, and it's almost like when he sees the sign of, the sight of his own blood, it kind of fires him up. And, Kingsbury will oblige. He'll happily get into, a striking matchup, and like you guys said, both big boys. Kingsbury used to be a defensive end over at Arizona State, and, he's my boy Pound a Meow. They're training together. But, yeah, I think he's got a future in the sport. I just don't think this is it. I think Bonnar, is going to be that gatekeeper for another little bit and, is always going to put on good shows. I think he's just going to be too much. I think, he'll probably be smart. He's a black belt under, the late Carlson Gracie. So I just think he's going to take him down and probably, just handle his business. I got Bonnar via UD.
Wow, I thought all that. The first 4 fights we picked differently. I thought we were going to have a completely separate card, but we got the same pick from that Bonnar fight.
Yeah, I was really thinking Kingsbury, dude. I thought he was going to I was putting in maybe he'd knock Stephan out, but I don't know. If he does, so be it. If somebody hasn't knocked him out yet, Bonnar, for the bombs he's been hit with, I don't know if if you can knock him out, But yeah, I think it's going to be a good fight either way.
His 2 TKO losses were one against Lyoto Machida for a cut and one against Szynski for a cut. So I mean, the guy could just take brutal amounts of punishment. So it's the only way Kingsbury can win that fight. So it's just not in the cards for him.
Yeah, I was going to get like a bonus, dude. If I picked like that Kingsbury's going to win via doctor's stoppage, can I get like an extra 2? On top of that, if I pick the round right as well, like instead of it being a 10
Bonner does
bleed
bleed well. He does bleed a lot. He's a bleeder. Now, I believe you took a shot at my boy Jake Shields earlier, Dolo, and I really don't fucking appreciate that.
Out in front of that, and then you're definitely 100% right.
Well, listen, we got to wrap the show up in a second, but he's going to be greeting Sexyama Akiyama to the 170-pound division in Japan. And you know what? He's going to finally retire that guy because he's going to take him to school and get rid of him, okay?
He's going to retire?
Shields is going to get back.
Awesome.
What'd you say?
Shields is going to retire? That's awesome.
No.
I hope they put him out like a Viking
Akiyama.
funeral, dude. They just put him out in a raft and then light it on fire.
Hey, I think you missed the point of me talking right here. I wanted to get the final word in. Now I got to close the show out, okay? Jesus Christ. All right, everybody. Remember to check out Roto Experts. Check out the xlog.com. Check out Nick Frank at Nick Frank Roto X, right? Twitter?
And Frank Roto X.
Something like that. Me, I'm Cauliflower, the number 4 ear at Twitter, and we're Cauliflower for the year. We're tapping out.
Deuces.
Stop.